Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Today we have got a pretty cool new belt attachment system for kydex sheaths. You guys know that, that this one will probably show up a little bit easier because it's a black sheath with blue paracord. So you guys know that I make an awful lot of these neckers, right? I mean, this one right here, well, this is the larger everyday carry or heavy necker size. But, you know, I sell these and they've got, you know, these little bitty loops right here, and you're supposed to run the cord through it and then hang it from your neck. Neck carry is a really cool way if you've got really good posture and everything. Me being a knife maker, spending hours and hours, you know, bent over the bench and everything, you know, I don't stand all that straight and everything. So carrying a neck knife as a neck knife day in and day out is kind of uncomfortable because that cord, it instead of riding, you know, right around here, around the base of my shoulders, it tends to ride up here around my neck. And that's why most of my neck knives are really, really light, because just because the less weight, the more comfortable it is for me to carry. The majority of the time, I take these neck knives and I run the neck cord through the rivets and form belt loops. It looks a little on the odd side, but let me tell you, I have not been able to find anything better as far as an everyday carry, day in, day out, you know, for an active guy like me, you know, to where that knife is, it rides high. Well, you can see it right here. I mean, it's pretty rare that I don't have one of these on me. It rides high in relation to, you know, the handle is above my belt, okay, and then it's very, very flat. That's one of the things I love about the system so much, is that if I've got to, you know, change a starter or change an oil or do something underneath the truck, or you know, anything when you're on the ground, right? If you've got like a, you know, a setup like this where you've got like an actual clip that offsets the knife from your belt a little ways, and then you roll on it, then that's going to be really kind of a pain in the hip. This is so flat that I can roll around over and over and over again and hardly even notice that it's there. It's nice and high, it's flat, it's tight to my body. I can, you know, my belly fat here, I can feel the knife throughout the day, you know, I make sure it's still there. And it's very discreet also. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to conceal a knife, but, you know, discreetness is kind of a handy deal. A lot of times non-knife people kind of freak out, you know, when they see, you know, a big belt knife on somebody. You know, something like this, you toss it over a t-shirt over it and, you know, you can't hardly see it. Now, yeah, so it holds it very, very tight against your waistline. Now, I ended up gaining a whole bunch of weight about 4 or 5 years ago. I've got ulcerative colitis pretty bad, and so while they were messing around with my medication and trying to find something that worked, I was on some pretty high doses of prednisone, the steroid, you know, for, oh God, like 2 years, something like that. I mean, 60 milligrams a day plus. It was a very, very dark time, but I ended up gaining a whole bunch of weight. I was up a little bit over 250 pounds. And when that happened, you know, you'll get the, you know, the hang over the side of your belt deal. I still carried this throughout that entire time. Now there towards the end of it, before I started taking some of that weight off, this style of sheath was starting to get a little bit uncomfortable because my belly fat was kind of pushing it out like that. If that happens to you, or you've been hitting Oreos too hard, because boy, let me tell you, them Oreos, especially the double stuffed Oreos, now you smear peanut butter on top of those things and oh my God, that's just amazing. But too many of them, yeah, it's not so good. If you end up with that, then an offset style of clip like this, where see how that sets that blade off? Now it's not hardly even touching my belly fat at all. You know, so if you got a little bit too much hanging over the belt, then something like that where it offsets and kind of gets it away from you, that can be a little bit more comfortable. So anyway, so now I got to get this thing off of here. Well, I guess it can just stay there for a little bit. So now what we're going to go, so now that you guys are, now that I went over how much I love the Paracord belt loops for the kydex sheaths, now we're going to get into the exciting part of today's video. This style of sheath, okay, it's the, I guess you'd call it like a pancake style, right? Okay, because there's rivets on either side of the blade. So when you put belt loops on either side, it's very, very stable this way and this way, right? And it's also stable this way and this way as long as these loops fit your belt nice and tight. That kind of gives you an idea how they sit there. Now this, the next video is going to be on leather belts. This is an old worn out Don Hume concealed carry belt, double thickness, stitched. It was a really, really good belt. I just wore it out. But see, it just has a little bit of wiggle this way, but see, it can't really go very much this way because you've got a loop on each side of the sheath. So a fella sent me this a while back. He's a good customer. He sent me this to take a look at. And it had this kydex sheath, and it had this little loop right here that was attached like that with a Chicago screw. It looks pretty cool. Honestly, I think it looks an awful lot better than the Paracord, right? The only problem is that that is a horizontal carry only. And the second I put it on here, it's fairly butt heavy, so it went straight down like that. Even if you moved it over this way, okay, it's still going to tip down like that, right? So that right there really wasn't working for me. And it's really tough to get a really good idea of how a knife works if you can't carry the thing, right? If it's uncomfortable to carry, or if you're afraid the thing's going to fall out of the sheath all the time and it's unsafe to carry, then you're not going to carry the thing, you're not going to use it, and you're not going to be able to tell the fella, hey, this is, what I like about the knife and this is what I don't. So I just, I took it off my belt one day and I just laid it here in the shop, and, I just kind of looked at it here and there, thought maybe I'd just make a new sheath for it or whatever. And then I got to thinking about it and I thought, so this is the taco style sheath, right? So instead of it folding up this way, so you have rivets on both sides, like this style of sheath, this is a taco style sheath. So it comes in this way. So you've only got rivets on this side and then one at the bottom. So you don't have anything over here to grab a hold of. So I got to looking at it and I thought, I bet you if I was to put a loop on this side and then just cross the paracord, kind of in the middle, that will kind of act as a belt loop over here. So instead of having a belt loop here and a belt loop here, it kind of acts like a belt loop here and a belt loop here. So I thought, okay. So I grabbed a piece of paracord and I didn't even strip it, just tied a real quick knot on the end of it, and I'll be danged, it works really slick. Let me put it on this belt here for you. And look at that. It's now, when he put the rivets there, he got pretty much perfect for, for an 1.5 inch wide belt. But look at that, there's hardly any movement back and forth, and there's hardly any movement. I can't hold the belt really tight and flex it at the same time. There's hardly any movement like that either. And so I was just amazed. I was like, well, heck, now all of a sudden we can just use regular paracord, to make the normal belt loops. You just got a belt loop and then a cross belt loop. So it's 1.5, not 1 and 1 over here. But I'll be danged, I've carried the thing around now for a week or so, and it works really, really nice. It's nice and high, it's nice and flat to my body. I can roll around on the floor with it on. It doesn't shift back and forth. I'm not afraid of the knife falling out. It's just really slick. Now, I don't, now these are fairly small knives. You know, that one right there, I wear an extra large leather glove if that kind of gives you any reference. The larger, the EDCs, you know, but these are out of 3/32, 1095, or yeah, that one's out of 1095, and so they're fairly light also. I know a lot of guys like a lot larger and a lot heavier knife with that type of kydex sheath, and I bet you that paracord belt loop would work just as well on those larger ones. You know, something up to 4, maybe 5-inch blade, somewhere around there. You know, as long as you put the kydex rivets, you know, about 1.75 to 2 inches apart, so that, you know, so that there's room there to get your belt underneath it. I bet you it work out really slick. I mean, this has been a really stable belt loop system for the taco style kydex sheaths. So yeah, I just figured that you know, I came up, I mean, maybe everybody else has been doing this, but this is the first time I've ever seen anybody do something like that, which is why I was excited about it, and which is why I had to share it with you. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. Visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.